live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Friday, April 14th. We're going in depth tonight on a number of topics. Flooding, of course, but also on a few other things. Apparently, we're not moving with me, but that is okay. Here we are. We're going to talk about flooding. We're going to talk about the avalanche danger levels and the forecast right now. Currently, they are low. But before we do all of that, let's take a look at our headlines. Here's what's making headlines on our website right now, KUTV.com. Another police detective took the stand in Lori Vallow Daybell's murder trial today. That detective read emails. He says Chad and Lori wrote about losing access to Charles Vallow's life insurance policy. Also making headlines today, something we talked about on our website, KUTV.com. The family of a Sandy man killed in an officer-involved shooting last month has more questions after release of body camera footage. Salt Lake County District Attorney will make a decision whether the officer's actions were warranted. Also making headlines tonight, a Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation, a director there wants you to be safe around moving bodies of water. They held a swift water press conference today. Officials say call 911 if someone gets caught in that fast moving water. While rivers may look okay, they will continue to get more dangerous as the snow continues to melt. Finally, something you need to be aware of. UDOT will be closing I-80 and 13th East in Sugarhouse this weekend. This will impact both directions between 7th East and Foothill Drive starting tonight at 9 o'clock through Monday at 5 a.m. As we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us on our website. You can join the show and also use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join the conversation. You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send me a direct message to weigh in. Time to go in depth now. A week of flooding and what seems to be reactive steps to high water. But what about proactive efforts to prevent the flooding in the first place? Salt Lake City and county leaders insist that they have planned for flooding for months. Brian Malahy live in Sugarhouse tonight, where Immigration Creek just continues to gush onto 1700 South. Brian, I was there yesterday. It was still gushing. Is it gushing tonight?
Have a lull in the action. This is breaking news, if you will. Look over here. Some dry pavement where the river was running not long ago. Salt Lake City crews have shut down the water. At least they've shut down the pumps to pump the water this direction. It is being held in a retention pond and also in the creek. It's flowing in the right direction for the time being. But it will start again in the near term because it will be overflowing, the city expects, very soon. Look what's happening back here. This was the waterfall that was created yesterday. We have rocks, big rocks that are being set alongside those sandbags. We saw some people getting close to this waterfall that really runs from 17th South right down into the creek where Immigration Creek normally is flowing. So this project is going on today as well. And you mentioned the city and the county. They both say they have taken some proactive steps to mitigate flood damage. They've been out clearing debris. They have hired more people to do it. They say they are checking the drainage systems, especially in City Creek. That is the next canyon where water could be flowing quickly. So we've already had Immigration. That's one of the first to start flowing. City Creek Canyon may be next. Brian.
Brian Malahy live for us in Sugarhouse. Brian, I was out there yesterday. It's really encouraging to look behind you and see no water moving across that road. I know it's short-lived, at least we believe, but that is a breaking news update.
It's temporary.
We appreciate it. Turning to Kaysville now. Boy, have you seen the photos come out of that area over the last few days? Just massive sinkholes. Kaysville City monitoring that sinkhole caused by water runoff. That's erosion basically 24/7. They're looking at this. 2 families have been displaced. Amanda Gilbert live there right now for us. Amanda, how and when can the city start fixing this?
Well, Brian, to go over all that, I'm going to show you what's going on behind me. So the big sinkhole, that erosion, you can see that off to my left. It is crazy to look at. It's impacted 11 homes, most of those homes under construction. So the city says, you see all this water that's being directed downward by the sandbags. The city says first they need to figure out how to redirect this water away from this area one, to prevent more damage, and two, to move forward and rebuilding the area affected by the erosion. So they're trying to figure out how to redirect that. And they said rebuilding all this, that sinkhole, is going to be a huge, huge undertaking. Basically, they told me that the sewer drain system there was destroyed by all this, so it's just a lot they're trying to figure out. The developers say, you know, this, and the city say that they're monitoring this 24/7 just to make sure there's no big changes to what's going on right now. They want to make sure that water doesn't breach the sandbags. Water's not flowing too much right now, but again, it's getting warmer, so we're gonna have to see what happens with that runoff water moving forward. I know a lot of volunteers today and this weekend are gonna be filling more sandbags, ready to place them if needed. Back to you, Brian.
Amanda, a quick question for you. How many people live in that area versus how many people are trying to move into that area? Do you know that kind of split right now? Because it seems like a lot of those homes are still under construction.
Yeah, that's a good question, Brian. We know that 2 families were displaced in this area affected by this, and we know most of the homes impacted, though, are under construction, so people not living there yet. So it is an area where a lot of people were looking to move.
Amanda, thank you. I think Brian Malahy called that unintentional beachfront property or waterfront property the other day. Definitely not something to make light of, but you know, something when it comes to the real estate industry, they may use some choice words. Amanda, thanks. Let's turn to Chase Thomason now.
Thank you.
Chase, this is, I mean, goodness, you look behind you here. I believe this is what, Weber Canyon right now.
River, yep.
And this thing is just ripping right now. Amanda was out here yesterday, one of the couple areas across the state that have seen that elevated stage.
Right. There's a few rivers and streams right now that are on the elevated stage. It's still so early in the snow melt season, really. To see this right now, when we only had one day in the 80s, might be a wake-up call for a lot of folks.
And 60s and 70s coming,
They are
in
coming.
northern Utah.
You know, that's good. I mean, we're going to talk more about that in my weather, but 60s and 70s are actually good. We want 60s in the month of April. We want 70s in May, because eventually all the snow has to come down regardless of what the temperature is going to be. So if we can have that gradual warm up, things are going to flood because it is a record snowpack, but we don't want the widespread flooding across the entire state. So if we can keep this temperature stay in the 60s and 70s, that's actually kind of ideal to melt that snowpack at a slower rate.
Chase, thank you. We'll check in with you in just a few. We want to hear from you at home. Grab your phone right now and check in with us. Scan this QR code and let us know. How would you describe the reaction to flooding and spring runoff from city and state officials? It's a tough one. A lot of you are saying reactive, at least on this post. 50% of you saying reactive. The other options are proactive, and really depends on the agency. Be sure to scan that QR code to weigh in. Chase hasn't left. He's still here with us. Don't you worry. Take a look at this water runoff, though. I absolutely love the Flaming Gorge area. I was out there a few years ago talking about this very topic. This is a new waterfall, they say. Just one that was created because of the snow melt. They said in their social post, hey, the kids wanted to see where the water was going, so we had to find out. And that is also coming down at a pretty good clip.
And early, Flaming Gorge, I mean, that's high elevation. You're talking about the Uinta Mountains right now, so we're already starting to see some snow melt. But again, we're going to see more, probably waterfalls, but with those waterfalls, they're creating new pathways, maybe new mudslides, new landslides as well. So right now they're pretty, but you got to be careful as well.
Yeah, water doesn't really care about the direction half the time. We've learned that with what's going on in Sugarhouse, right? It moved one way, they had to divert it another way. And then, of course, it can create some damage if it's going the wrong direction.
I want to show you these two big numbers, okay? We talk about our all-time snow water equivalent, how much water is in that snowpack, all-time record, 30 inches. That's for the entire state of Utah, Brian. Northern Utah, some of those peaks, 50, 60, 70 inches of water in that snowpack. This is just the average for the entire state. Now, that was April 7th when we peaked. Today, April 14th, we're at 28 inches. So we've only melted 2 inches of water in that snowpack. We still have 92, 93% left of our snowpack to go.
So for most communities, they're in what you would consider a lull right now, as Brian Malahy described it out in Sugarhouse.
And it could be a lull.
There's got to be more to come, though.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have some warmer days, but we could have a lull for maybe the next week and a half.
Sure.
But once we flip that switch, and hopefully we don't see the 80s, that would be bad news. a lot of this is going to be coming down.
All right, let's take a look at the forecast.
Yep. And here's what you need to know as we go forward into the weekend. Temperatures will begin to climb. So say goodbye to the cooler air, 40s and 50s for highs in northern and central Utah. Below normal, but it did stop the rapid snowmelt, so that's the silver lining. More 50s and 60s down in southern Utah for today. Take a look, though. Tomorrow we're at 60 degrees, and then those temperatures, they keep climbing. We'll be watching those rivers and streams. Again, it's going to be melting quickly Sunday and Monday. However, it's only 2 days in the 70s. That's okay. And then temperatures will be dropping as we head into the middle part of the week as yet another cool storm begins to slide into Utah, especially northern Utah. This is the storm that's moving out of the state. We're on the backside, so winds are out of the north. That's why temperatures are a little chilly out there. And a few of these isolated rain and snow showers, high pressure to our west, that slides in, though, this weekend. So tonight, cold 20s and 30s for overnight lows for a good chunk of northern and central Utah. Tomorrow, hey, we're going to be near 60 degrees, I think, in Salt Lake City. 48, though, in Logan, 46 in Park City. So milder, but still kind of cool across some of those mountain valleys, southwestern Wyoming in the 30s and 40s. Moab, though, sunny, 60 degrees. Near 60 in central Utah, St. George 75, and we'll have light winds for your Saturday and Sunday. I'm saying that because it looks quite windy next week, especially in southern Utah because of our next weather maker. Big storm, right? And it's going to take some time to get here. It's going to send several waves of moisture into the northern half of the state. So a little bit of rain and snow. This is Tuesday afternoon. Gusty winds in southern Utah. Maybe an isolated shower on Wednesday, and then we're closer to the core of the storm on Thursday, and that core has that colder air mass. We might see a couple snowflakes mixing in by Thursday here along the Wasatch Front, and it just stays windy and dry down in southern Utah. So St. George, perfect weekend, 75 tomorrow, 82 on Sunday. Be safe out there. Again, those rivers and streams are still running high and fast. Now, temperatures will be cooling off next week. We'll be in the upper 60s Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mentioned the wind. Your windiest days right now look like Tuesday and Wednesday, St. George. Salt Lake, sunny weather this weekend. Still a little cool, though, overnight. Partly cloudy, 74 on Monday. And then Tuesday, we have a little bit of rain. It will be mountain snow, snow level 6,500 feet. 1 or 2 showers possible on Wednesday. Those snow levels on Thursday, Brian, they're going to be dropping to about 4,500, 5,000 feet.
Okay.
So it does get a little chilly out there. However, none of these storms look like major precipitation making storms. So a little bit of light rain and snow.
Higher probability, of course, higher elevation in the mountains, I would imagine.
Yeah, they'll get a little bit more, but does, again, look huge right now.
Okay. Temperatures, obviously, here as we hit the 70s.
2 days, yep.
That is a nice drop, I think, for kind of that general flooding situation, right?
And we could see some of those rivers and streams approach flood stage. I looked at Immigration Creek, the Weber River. If that's going to happen, not forecast to go above flood stage, but near flood stage, that's probably going to happen maybe late Monday and into Tuesday with those warmer temperatures. So again, but no 80s, so that's good news.
It's encouraging. Looks like a great weekend.
It will be.
Thanks, Jace. Remember, you can always download our 2 News weather app to know about the changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecast, live radar right to your phone. The app is free. It is very easy to use as somebody who does use it himself. So please give it a quick download and check it out. Very easy to use there. Hey, remember, you can always get those conditions from the good folks at the Utah Avalanche Center all the time on their website. Fortunate enough to have Avalanche forecaster Nikki Champion with us in studio tonight. Nikki, I think when we're looking at the map, which I was hoping to show you here, hopefully we can pull that up for you, things look really nice right now. It's nice. It's refreshing to see green on there, I think, after some higher danger levels. But do you anticipate things changing here with the conditions changing over the next few weeks?
Yeah, so we just dropped the danger down to low for the first time in a while. We got some cool temps that kind of locked everything up. Over the next few weeks and the next few days, we're going to see temps rise like you just saw. With that, we're going to see similar types of problems. Right now, we're dealing with cornice issues. We've got these huge cornices in the mountains. They're likely to fall with some warmer temps. We're also dealing with glide avalanches, such as when the whole snowpack saturates and the snow actually slides on the ground, not on the layers. And those would be consistent. I don't see a huge change in danger unless we see a huge spike in temperatures. Then we might see wet avalanches again. But due to the temps with the snowpack freezing at night, I guess this same problem kind of stays consistent.
How are you looking back at the season as a whole? Obviously, there were some accidents. There were some unfortunate fatalities. But how are you looking back at what this season kind of brought to the table avalanche-wise?
You know, we had a pretty historic season, especially with the avalanches. The cottonwoods, you know, were closed on and off since the 2nd until last night. But all things considered, we had a pretty straightforward season. So we would get a lot of snow. Following that, we'd see new snow avalanches. We'd see wind-drifted snow avalanches when it got windy. And then when the temperatures heated up, we started to see some wet snow avalanches. So things were pretty predictable, consistent, and just overall busy. Every time it snowed, we saw avalanches. Every time it got windy, we saw avalanches. So it was kind of nonstop. We're taking a little bit of a reprieve in this warm weather right now.
You mentioned in the Cottonwoods, we had some new photos shared with us today. They're on your screen, and kind of just the aftermath. I mean, trees just getting ripped out, debris everywhere. It really shows what the crews up there were dealing with these wet slides over the last week or so.
Yeah, it was pretty nonstop for them. Every time that the temperatures warmed up, they started to see more avalanches, and they couldn't really open the road until they knew that there was going to be a stop.
I think what could impact people the most is around their homes. We've been telling them, hey, clear some of that snow off your roofs, right?
Yep.
And if you can't hire somebody to do that, or at least reach out to a roofing company, but roof avalanches can also be a concern. What's the status with that in this time of year as the warm-up comes?
Yeah, since we've had such a historic season in the mountains, especially mountain communities, Park City, Summit Park, up in the Cottonwoods, there is so much snow on the roofs. Anytime we see the warm-ups, it's going to correlate with that wet snow avalanche activity or that cornice fall activity. So if the temperatures rise, we're going to see these roofs avalanching. You've got to be really thoughtful on when you're traveling in and out of your house, and then watch children and pets especially.
At this point, it's refreshing to see the green on the map,
Yep.
but we're thinking some things change again.
We'll see. If temperatures go up, then we're going to see the avalanche danger go up as well.
Just quickly, you were in the Moab area doing
Yep.
some forecasting work. I noticed it's one of the areas that is not in a green right now.
Yep.
What did you see down that direction?
You know, they were kind of flip-flop. Earlier this week, they did see green because they were seeing solid refreezes. They weren't seeing the wet activity that we were seeing. Now they've got a little bit warmer temperatures. They're not seeing that solid refreeze at night, so they're seeing wet activity. So if we see warm temps, we're going to see wet activity, but if we don't, we're in the clear.
Nikki,
Yeah.
thank you for coming in. Thank you for the insight. We appreciate it, especially with what has been a very long year. So thank you so much. We'll give you one last look at the map right now. Remember UtahAvalancheCenter.org. It's a great one-stop location to get your forecast, your education, and learn about events that are coming up as well. If you want to renew some of your certs, or if you want to just learn some new information, it's always a great resource for you to check out before you venture out in the backcountry, whether you're skiing, you're riding, you're hiking, all of the above. Hey, tonight at 10, a convicted child rapist on parole, but nowhere to be found. Andrew Joe Kidd is on the Metro Gang Unit's 10 Most Wanted list. Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran is here. Wendy, what are you looking at tonight when it comes to this?
So I've profiled a lot of parolees, probationers, violent offenders, and this one ranks right up there because Andrew Joe Kidd is a child rapist, and he is on the loose. He has spent 12 years in prison. He was sentenced to 10 years to a possible life sentence, but he's been paroled 4 times. And each time he has violated the terms of his parole and has absconded. The issue here, the key issue here is he absconded one time to the Ute Reservation, which, as you know, is federal land, tribal land. And so Utah, which has jurisdiction over him and is supposed to be supervising him while he's on parole, cannot go on to tribal land and, find him. They did find him, they arrested him, but he's on the loose again.
Is there anything similar to his case compared to any of the others that you've covered over the years? If so, what stands out to you?
Well, what stands out to me the most here is when he was 19 years old, he raped a 13-year-old child twice. And even when he was sent to prison, he continued to maintain that it was consensual after a conviction. They dismissed one of the counts on the case, so he was only convicted of 1 count of child rape. So that was very troubling. The most troubling thing now, though, is recently he was caught looking at pornography. So that shows the ability and the propensity to commit sexual violence again, potentially. And that's really troubling that he's on the loose. And he's one of 600 sex offenders that are unaccounted for in this state right now. So that's even more troubling. But the fact that he's a child rapist and he's nowhere to be found should concern everybody.
At large tonight, and Wendy covering this for us tonight on 2 News at 10 o'clock. Wendy, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at what's trending right now on our website, KUTV.com. We'll get you there. Here is our website, and you can see the main thing right here is what we were talking about parts of Sandy here with what Ariel Harrison was talking about. An interesting case coming out of Salt Lake City of a woman arrested after reportedly heading back to a location where she made some comments about the individual who was later found deceased. They looked for her, they found her, they arrested her. They're now charging her with murder. I believe this is the 5th homicide in Salt Lake City so far this year. As we go down to what is truly trending on our website right now, where would we be without space news, right? If you're into it, Mars is the topic. Go check it out right now. It's the top story on our website. Here's an interesting one that I checked in on earlier. It is a Target security guard who basically clocked a customer after she approached him what they coined aggressively. The video's in there. It's a 30-minute long video that shows them kind of sitting in the same room together after this as police arrive. It's quite wild. And then, of course, the story that we told you about and a number of others. And hey, everybody's favorite, Post Malone is on our website too. Have you seen that place in Midvale yet? Interesting design to go get your chicken. Remember, all of these stories are on our KUTV mobile app, which you can download on your Apple App Store or Google Play. It is easy to find, it is easy to use, and you can always stream us there for 2 News Live. Chase Thomason is here. Chase has seen Post Malone in concert recently.
Unbelievable.
Okay. What do you make of the restaurant?
You know what? It's bright pink, so I'm curious, though. Is the chicken pink? Why pink? But you know what? It is Posty.
Well, you've been to a Raising Cane's, though.
It's delicious, by the way. Big fan. But I've never seen a bright pink restaurant before.
I got to be honest with you, this was all going on yesterday as I was out covering flooding. Of course, that's where we did an entire 2 News Live broadcast for you, among other newscasts. So I didn't catch his remarks live. I had to go back and watch it today. The scissor shot of him holding up the scissors, that's like engraved in my memory, I think.
I mean, it's just so cool that he chose to live in Utah, and he's just really going all in, and you'll see him right around the community, and now he has a Raising Cane's in Utah.
Speaking of all in, Chase at a Post Malone show. All in.
I have video of Posty. Hopefully there's no video of me having a good time watching Posty.
Somebody took a video of you there. Hey, thanks for watching 2 News Live. We appreciate you joining us. We're here Monday through Friday at 5:30. For Chase Thomason, I'm Brian Schnee. Thanks to everyone who joined us today, everyone in studio, also behind the scenes. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend because the clock starts now. We'll see you Monday. Have a great night.
The following segment is sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union. The following segment is sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union. The following segment is sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union. The following segment is sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union.
Days of
The following segment is sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union.